And James is calling in from Phoenix. Is that right, James?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So, James, I want to start with you with the same question that I just asked. I just asked Gabriella. The question in relation to is the Book of Revelation something that has already happened or is supposed to happen? Now I know, James, that you're you're on a totally different page. So listen, whatever your answer is what your answer is. Okay, so you can just tell it to me like it is on your end of the spectrum, whatever that is. Okay, so you heard the question. Now go for it.
Well, I believe there's a possibility that we are in the process of what the Book of Revelation describes. And I feel that the second coming is not the second coming of another Jesus, another person, but the arising of Christ consciousness in all the population, in all of mankind. And Christ consciousness is present moment focus. Jesus taught present moment focus. Buddha taught present moment focus. All great spiritual teachers have taught present moment focus in one way or another. So Christ consciousness is present moment focus, is having your mind completely focused into the present moment, not thinking about the past or the future or what if about tomorrow or regrets about yesterday, but laser focused attention here now. So I believe we are in the process that is described in the Book of Revelations. We're in the middle of it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, James. So hopefully that answers my listener viewer's question that asked that question. Okay, but now I want to move on here because I have more here that I want to cover with you. Now, James, some people may say, well, you're feeling the way that you feel because you were hurt or disgruntled about religion. And I would like to know, what is your response to, a question like that? Have you been, hurt, or have you been disappointed by someone in the church? And I would like for you to take just a few minutes to explain to us, my listeners and my viewers, what do you practice under your belief and why? And also, in the midst of your explanation, please explain to me, too, what is the fourth way?
All in 2 minutes, right?
Well, you can take a little time. Go ahead. Knock yourself out.
Well, I've already begun mentioning what my practice is. Let me come back to the first part of it. I'm not disgruntled with the religion. I was never given religion. I was never raised with religion. My parents, my father was my stepfather. My mother was a divorced woman. They were both Catholics, so they were excluded from the church, and they really weren't church people anyway. My father's religion, if you would call it that, was science. So I exposed myself on purpose to religion when I was age 10, and I thought it was kind of interesting, but it went against some of the things I learned about in science. So I was skeptical, and then I didn't like, I guess you could say my bad experience was trying to be spiritually seduced into the church by the minister's wife. I had an ick reaction. So the consequence of my ick reaction was I became what you might call an agnostic, a questioner. I searched for meaning and purpose in other places. I've always felt since the age of 4 that there was a great mystery to life that nobody has really answered. Religion attempts to answer the mystery. Every system of thought attempts to answer that mystery, but it remains a mystery. And what I've discovered for myself over the years that it's not about the acquisition of more information, more knowledge, but it's rather about a change in consciousness. So that's what the fourth way is all about in its essence, is it changing your consciousness and the clear understanding that we have levels of consciousness available to us that we most of the time we don't use. We've all had experiences, for instance, that generally were traumatic, where, if you've been in an auto accident, for instance, it changes your consciousness for a while and makes you intensely present moment aware, because it breaks the patterns of your life and you're traumatized in some kind of way. I practice being 100% here now as much as possible. That means having a quiet mind. That means I don't think the way an ordinary person does. And I teach people how to not think this way. I teach a meditation that actually stops thought. I listen deeply and speak from that place that I connect to when I listen. Some people call that place intuition. Other people call it gut instinct. I say it's inner guidance. And I feel, everybody acknowledges that. I ask these questions to everybody I deal with as a psychotherapist. I give public presentations about it. Everybody in the room says, yes, I have intuition. Yes, I don't listen to it. And when I don't listen, it's bad news. So then the question is, what is that? There is something within us that knows what's best for us that we ignore and we talk over with thought. So if we learn how to quiet thought and build a deep relationship to our intuition, one in which we are manifesting from that place, like I am right now. I am manifesting from that place. I'm listening. I'm not thinking. I'm doing and saying what I'm told to do and say. If we come from that place, we are connecting to whatever the mystery is. Whatever, every path leads to the same place, whether it's Jewish or Mohammed or Buddhist or Christian. Any kind of practice that's a true spiritual practice accesses the same connection. So I teach people how to make that connection, and I make that connection myself daily.
Okay, well, James, answer this. I thought you mentioned on part one something about the voice of God. Did you tell me you listen, meditate, or quietly so you can hear the voice of God? Did I hear you say that, or do you hear the voice of God?
Well, what I call intuition, you can call the voice of God. And yes, I practice quieting my mind and keeping my mind quiet. My daily practice that it includes every moment that I can to have my mind be still, and I'm listening, I'm not thinking. I'm listening so deeply hard that it hurts. I'm listening for what you could call the voice of God, or my higher self, or my guardian angel, or my soul. Lots of names for the same thing. It still remains a mystery, but that's my direct experience of it. When I have learned to quiet my mind over 38 years of practice. My mind is quiet right now talking to you, and I'm doing and saying what I'm told to do and say. And I do that in therapy. I do that in my life. I make decisions intuitively. I don't think about them. I act immediately. And I encourage people to do that. That is connection to our truer self when we operate that way.
Okay, so James, do you worship, or what would you call worship?
Well, what most people call worship is paying obeisance to a deity. Buddhists don't do that. They practice presence. They practice pretty much what I talk about. I'm not a Buddhist, but the fourth way has a lot of Buddhist elements in it. Worshipping is giving your power away to something else. I believe that most people make the mistake of separating God from themselves, of seeing themselves as separate from God. My idea of God is all and everything, is all of creation, that we live in an intelligent, sentient, self-aware universe at every level, so that we are particles of God. We are God itself. We are God manifest. God is not separate from us. So why would I pray to myself?
Okay, I want to talk to James, I'm going to leave you for a minute, okay? Do you mind if I step aside for a second? Let me go over here to Gabriella.